Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. So yes, Dakka weapons are a thing. A brand new weapon type similar to the old salvo style weapons from 6th and 7th edition. These are new weapons specifically, at least so far, for the Orks to help to showcase their random wildly firing at the enemy kind of shooting. And in the article that Warhammer community put up today, we also get clarification that yes, the much loved rule of Dakka 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 appears to be gone in the upcoming Ork Codex. Instead, those extra shots being represented by this split profile that the Dakka weaponry has. So what exactly are Dakka weapons? Well, as the article mentions, they are weapons which allow the Orks to get in nice and close with their enemy before unleashing a huge torrent of firepower into their lines, acting almost as a semi-rapid fire style ability, and they do give us a few nice previews of what sort of profiles we can expect to find on some of the more well-known Ork weaponry. First up, we have the weapon of the mighty Ghazghkull Thraka himself, Morks Raw, which has gone from a 30-inch Assault 12 weapon to a much scarier 36-inch range Dakka 16/12 profile. So now he can fire 12 shots up to 36 inches away, and when he gets nice and close to within 18 inches, as in half range, that gets bumped up to a very fearsome 16 shots. Likewise, the huge Deathstorm Mega Shooter from the Gorkanaut goes from heavy 18 to an absolutely terrifying Dakka 30/20, which means that within the 18-inch half range of it, you are going to be pumping out 30 strength 6 shots, which is honestly a really impressive amount of Dakka. On the more common weapon types, we see the shooter bumping from Assault 2 to Dakka 3/2, and the big shooter getting a nice bump from Assault 3 to Dakka 5/3. And I think that realistically, it is overall a buff in the number of shots that you will be getting from your boys compared to the old style profiles with the Dakka 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 special rule. But whilst this is all well and good and fluffy, and I do quite like it in principle, the big thing that we really need to see in the main codex is the other rules for the Dakka style weapons, because as some of you may have worked out by now, the change from Assault means that as it stands right now, Orks cannot advance and still fire these weapons, which in my opinion is a huge nerf to the overall power of the Ork Codex, because with their relatively middling movement, the ability of Orks to fire almost all of their weapons on the move, even if they were only hitting on 6s, really did allow you to keep that decent level of mobility and firepower throughout the entire game. Whilst now, if Dakka weapons don't let you advance and shoot, you are either going to have to sacrifice a huge amount of mobility across your army or a huge amount of shooting, neither of which is a particularly exciting prospect. They also show off some other changed weapon profiles in this article, and again, it seems that assault weapons are on the way out for a lot of Ork guns, and that isn't always the most positive change. Rocket launchers have gone from Assault 1 to an admittedly much nicer profile of Heavy D3 and Blast, so even compared to the old style with Dakka Dakka Dakka, you should on average be getting more shots most of the time, averaging 2, whereas it would just be 1 with an extra shot on a 6 to hit with the old Dakka Dakka Dakka. But that change to heavy does mean that you are always going to be hitting on 6s if you move, and you won't be able to fire at all if you advance, whilst with the old style rocket launcher you could advance and still be hitting on 6s, again giving you both of the mobility and still some small amount of firepower to your army. The Scrapjet's rocket launcher has likewise had a change to heavy, and although this is less of an issue on vehicles as they don't get the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons, it still does limit the mobility of your army as you can't advance and still get some shots downrange. Now, of course, I do have to say the bump to 3d3 shots instead of 2d3 is really nice and does almost make that change to heavy not feel so bad. You can potentially be putting out 9 strength 8 3 damage shots from a single scrapjet into an enemy tank, which will almost certainly do a huge amount of damage when you fire at it. But still, it's worth noting that the overall speed of the Orks does appear, from everything we've seen so far, to be being reined in quite a lot by Games Workshop. Alongside this, the custom Mega Blaster has likewise gained D3 shots over just 1, and that blast special rule to help you get the most shots against medium and bigger size squads, which is quite honestly a lovely bonus. And also, as the custom Mega Blaster appears to still be assault, this is pretty much just a flat buff for things like your Def Dreads and your Def Copters, which is really nice to see. Everything else in this article to me has been something of a bit of a side grade, whereas this does seem to be just a flat buff, so there is some good news in this article at least. And the final thing they show off is the new and much improved Bubble Chucker as well, which now, instead of the horrifically random D6 for strength, AP and damage, now just rolls a D3 and has a set profile based upon that roll, with the average roll giving you a very respectable heavy D6 strength 8 minus 3 AP 3 damage blast profile, letting you do a decent amount of wounds to anything from bikers to aggressors to even rhinos and impulsor tanks. So in my opinion, this looks like a much better profile for the Bubble Chucker overall, and will hopefully propel some more Bubble Chuckers onto the tabletop instead of these smasher guns, which we pretty much exclusively see at the moment. But that's it for today. Lots of weapon changes, and whilst some of these changes are positive in terms of the number of shots you may actually be putting out, I have to admit I am a bit concerned that this may indicate a huge nerf to the overall maneuverability of your Ork army. And in my personal opinion, being able to advance and still shoot is such an integral part of the Ork style of fighting that I really do hope that they clarify in the codex, or clarify before the codex releases, whether Dakka weapons can still advance and shoot, or if there's any other way to get around that, so that your Ork force doesn't feel like it is being punished for doing that whole headlong charge into the enemy that Orks are, kind of known for. Like, you want to be advancing because it feels orky, and being punished by not being able to shoot because of that just feels bad, in my opinion. But what do you think of these new rules though? Do you like the idea of these Dakka weapons, or do you think that the possibility of losing advance and shoot is too big of a trade-off? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I will catch you later guys.